Greeting once again, my friends. Thanks so much for dropping by. My name is Hambbage, and we're hanging out playing some hardcore vanilla Minecraft. And I am leaning on my little folding table desk here. I've got a real desk. It's just buried in like old mail and stuff I need to file and accumulated detritus of a couple months, most of a pandemic, really, that I still am putting off cleaning. But I got to get there because in the coming days here, I think I'm going to be on the brink of reinstalling my PC and getting it going. Fingers crossed that we'll get some updates there. But that's all aside. You guys don't care about my office situation other than I don't want to squeak in front of you. So let's get this slide out of the way and get going. Thanks for coming on back. Any of you guys that watched the futility of the last episode know, man, oh man, oh man, we made it hard on ourselves. Don't find yourselves a few thousand blocks away in the Nether without an ender chest. And I had spent so much time. We were in the dark room spawner. We were playing around with chests there. We were back in the lodge, cleaning up stuff there. I think, no, I didn't even put one in there. I don't know what I did with the moving ender chest we had carried around. I'm sure I dropped it off somewhere really important, and there it sits. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, no harm, no foul. So what are we going to do today? Well, the first thing we're going to do, we talked about a little bit. We are going to go and hope that there's a boat handy. I think I left some at both ends of the Nether Highway. And we're going to cruise on out to our... There we go. Our Wither Skelly farm. Just get up here, see how my aim is these days. It's been a long time. Hey guys. Yep, there you go. Out of the way. Ooh. Whew. Okay. Yeah, just keep on. Look. Oh, there we go. we started a bit early. Welcome to the far end of our Nether Highway, folks that haven't maybe seen that before. We had built this up right before heading out to the 117 chunks when I was heading off on vacation a few weeks ago now. And this is, just kind of a typical station that you would see on a rail line or anything else. Pretty nice. And then through here, we have our Wither Skelly farm. Now, if I was to go... I don't know if I want to get distracted with that just yet. Or not. Kind of seems to me I would prefer a little something different. Wow, this is good stuff right here. There we go. Okay. I'd even thought about maybe I should grab a stack of extra stone or something, and that would allow us to get around the edge and off into our exterior. But alas. Okay, well now we're going somewhere, so you can see that kind of seals up the back of our hide those valuables, right? I don't want anybody just walking along and snatching those up. Okay, now we have no blocks. As most people are probably familiar, this is not my super favorite biome type by any means. It's a little difficult to navigate in. It's got lots of pockets of lava. Just overall not ideal in my mind. But if we can maybe get over, maybe just come this way. And see if we can get very far. I'm going to try to keep netherrack handy for fire mitigation, because working our way uphill here is a bit perilous. I thought I said we were keeping that handy. Hold on. Oof. Is that still right? How are we so off? Ugh. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So, I don't think we've really even talked about it in this episode, and there may be some of you guys that are coming in fresh, having not seen previous videos. If so, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. Glad to have you here, as I am with everybody else. I just like sharing Minecraft and my Minecraft adventures with others. And you know, if you guys pick up a tip or a trick or a technique or something as simple as I should not do that in my own hardcore world, so then all the better. That's, you know, it's kind of all about raising awareness and kind of that mentality that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Just, you know, don't get frustrated if you run into issues. Keep plugging away at it, and you'll find before too long you're taking down that dragon or wrapping up advancements or any number of exciting stuff. Taking down withers, we've certainly enjoyed doing that. We harvested up or traded for a few more emeralds yesterday. We're getting real close to where we can actually go take down another wither and have a third beacon. Currently our beacons are deployed. We have one out in the end, set to take down dragons, and we have another in the mesa to help us gather red sandstone and terracotta that we'll use for some future building stuff. So lots and lots and lots of fun. I did not, I should report back, even look at the internet while I was on break. I was I was running around, you know, getting some more water, switching out my coffee, using the facilities, and sticking my head outside to go, yep, it's still hot. And that was kind of the gist of it. But I got through that, and now, ooh, okay, that's good. No lava, but it sounds like some lava slimes are up there. Shocking, I know. But this is the biome we're working in, and for now, at least we gotta just put up with it. Okay. Now, this is a part where I kind of really struggle with basalt. Any block really that has the orientation stuff, some of them I really dig. Like the logs, for instance. I love having ends of logs. But like this, when you're trying to just build a staircase, and you know, it's my fault, I guess. Where is he? I didn't even get a look. I just heard the... Okay. You done? Now, no real concerns there, except getting blasted off this staircase is a potential problem. And for that, I'm just going to kind of want to do one of these as we go, which will additionally help us in the, hopefully not too many lava slimes come this way. Well, this is interesting. So we're on a seam here, which longer term could be fun. I didn't really think to get a good look. So, I mean, that would appear to be a fairly good option, but I don't know how far down these are hanging either. I mean, this could just be a tier, although we're at 95, so I think we're gonna cross that pretty quick. But let's just keep pressing on as we have been. We'll use some of this basalt to inefficiently stair our way up and kind of compare the first. Again, what I'm looking at doing here is an advancement specific but also very useful farm for ghasts. The advancement specific part is that we want it to link up into the overworld. The farmy type part is we want gas tiers on a reliable, consistent basis. So hopefully, if all works out well, we can do both. No, not that. guests have been clearly showing us as we've started here. They like to spawn in this environment. I just heard a noise outside. I wonder if that's a different fire plane from the ones I've been hearing. You guys have not yet gotten to enjoy the bliss that is summertime at my place. I live, maybe a mile straight line from a regional airport here in Colorado, and that airport, does a lot of private jet traffic and, instructional flying, all that kind of stuff where people are, learning to fly, and private pilots that have their own planes and things can come through there. But it does a lot of charter airline business. There's a few small airlines, kind of, if anybody remembers the old show Wings, more along those lines. It's not traffic that would have to be at a big airport, but the jets can get fairly significant, and I believe that the airport itself has sufficient runways that can do emergency services for a lot of the large commercial airline stuff. So because of that, it is very adept at handling the fire support aircraft, the tanker planes that are mostly converted old military bombers. Well, I shouldn't say anymore. It's what they used to be. They used to be the C-470 transport tanker kind of stuff that were just retired at that point or outdated. So they get converted out in those tanks for toting fuel instead, or fuel, retardant instead, not fuel. Fuel would be really bad. So we are now at 106. Let's just see again. I didn't really make note, and I always forget how much space we have above to work with here. We can at least keep our pattern consistent. If we should ever see the staircase from the distance, it'd be nice to not have it just be totally patchworked. Maybe we do this just for a little highlight at the top. Okay, now let's try to pay attention this time instead of just pressing on like we did in the last episode. How many more levels do we have before we get to the roof? Was it at like 150? I mean, is it that many? Well, I think it's maybe 120. I kind of feel like this is going to be pretty great, though. Yeah. Okay. So we got way up. I think, probably that is going to be our kind of height, because we didn't have a whole lot of just splotchy netherrack around. But we want to, again, come down from the top of the nether, or from the bottom of the bedrock. Probably 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be great. Gives us a little window. All right. So let's count that as a center. What is our mark here? 116. No. 274, 73. Let's go for 275. Right. $50. got ghasts. That's good. So, what exactly are we trying to do here? What we're trying to do is find enough space up here near the bedrock ceiling of the Nether to facilitate spawning and dealing with ghasts. And as I said before, there's two reasons. One is the advancement. We need to drag a ghast kicking and screaming back to the Nether, and then we want to, which this is increasing, so we want to go up to 864 this way. Try to keep track there. And we're going to, again, hope that we don't pop through too much with holes dropping down to the floor beyond. Why? Why do I always cross the dimensions? Dimensions? Okay, if we're going this way, we are increasing. So we want 339 would be 64 on top of that, right? Right? Everybody check my math. I questioned it quite completely. 339 is what we're trying to get to. And yes, 64 is a magical number, right? There are increments in Minecraft that you'll find repeated quite readily. And it's not a real shock. It's very computer-centric when 8 bits became a building block of how datagrams were managed and how data was written on disks. Oh, so close. Oh, one too many. Okay, cool. There's that. So yeah, 8. See, check myself here. 8 bits became a byte, I think, and then grew up from there. And that's why you have incremental memory, and these same numbers come up repeatedly. Just a convention that was formed. So now we got to go back the other way. So we're going to go down to 11, right? And I'm looking at way too much of the numbers and not enough at the potential holes that I could fall into. But call me crazy here. Oh, this is so fun though. What did I say? 231? No, 211? 211. We were going up to 30s. So yeah, 128 is the number that we're trying to get to. And we'll actually have an extra because we've got a block in between. Not super critical, but good to have. And you may be saying, well, Hambbage, why do I care? That seems very random and like a lot of mining up near the ceiling of the Nether, and you still haven't told us why. Well, I have told you that we're trying to farm ghasts up here. We're doing so because we want to get as many ghasts to appear as possible. And ghasts, as you've seen in the Nether, aren't predictable. They can spawn anywhere, they bounce around, float around. It's really tough to make a farm for ghasts that will consistently produce. So how do we counter that? Well, we want to go into an environment where we can spontaneously reload the chunks over and over again And the way that you do that is to go far enough away that they unload and then come back in. And that way, rather than having to sit around and wait for the game to spawn in mobs, each time that you enter new chunks, it will just go, hey, what mob should we have in that environment for the player to deal with? Part of the game. So we're going to create this path between two areas where we'd like to have ghasts spawn, if that makes sense. And then on those ends, we'll have big chambers, and we'll try to make them fairly blast resistant because we don't want the gas to just wreck them or send us plummeting to our death with their fireballs as we're working. So a little bit like the Wither, except we're not going to use obsidian that heavily. We will kind of set them up for little environments that are favorable to them, and while not unfavorable, like, you know, the zombie pigmen and stuff like that, I think I just kind of overlook them as we go. But we'll do our best to minimize their appearance. And I'm really talking on a limb. This wasn't what I was planning to do today exactly. I thought we were going to just cruise the Nether and pick up quartz and stuff. But not having one of these bad boys put a quick end to that. The good news is we've got them now. So we're going to do all of this stuff. Keep the basalt, as I think we'll probably find the most of that. And since we're up here and we've mined it all, let's just come back through here and do a bit of gathering. So this is our, let's mark this so we don't get too lost. So this is our little hallway, and it, you know, if you think of the shape of a dog bone, right, a cartoon dog bone, right, or milk bone too, you know, those branded, molded kind of whatever they are that dogs like so much, that kind of shape, right? This is the long, narrow bit in between, and then the wider bits of the dog bone will be on either end, and those are the ones that we're going to look to make use of here. So this is our space, and now we kind of have to hope again that we have enough area to make this work. And it's kind of the dimensions that we want to worry about. I think let's count this as 1, and ooh, all right. Well, if you want to play it this way, this is 1. We'll go this way again. So now let's go 32 in each direction, and it'll kind of just be offset in the middle there. So we're gonna go carefully, and what we want to go 68 would be 800 minus 32. Close. Nice to get that from above. $73, $71, $69, and $68. Perfect. Alright, now... That's why it's nice to get some of this, at least with netherrack, as long as it's not full of holes that are trying to kill us. Perfect. Okay, dump all those. Now, here we just need to go up to 32. And a little bit slower with the basalt. Four more. Boom. More of a challenge here. We might have lava. We gotta go a little slower. Gotta like those pockets, though. And once again, we find ourselves in a very similar project to the one we just did in the basement. Sorry about that. But here it's nether. We have different sounds. We have these little particles falling all over us that look very spooky and ashy. So, yeah, this is a totally different play adventure. You guys are delighted to get to experience this firsthand. Not close yet. Now, I think for starters at least, let's go 25. Oh. Wow, it sounded like explodey. Or was that 3? Man, I always lose count. So roughly 1, 2, 3. 4. Now, what is our distance there? 365. Where were we here? Hey, pretty good at this. Not. Let's just go ahead and box this to the ceiling too. Miss any? Yep, on there. Oh. Okay, let's go get this other side. I know, lots touring around here. It's okay though. Drop these off. And this is a pretty pick unfriendly activity. Okay, so again 40, and we just want to go up to 65 now. Makes it a little easier. We don't have to do that whole counting nonsense. If I just looked, once we get our dimensions squared away, then we can get rid of this annoying screen. 7, 2, and 365. As long as we don't catch a hole, we'll be good. I like all the netherrack in that corner. It's like this, the basalt that we have only angles through a corner, which is fantastic for trying to get this done. Hey, wasn't even too terribly overlong. Alright, now we just complete the edge and then gut the middle. Now I think I have no idea what our time is looking like or anything like that yet, but I think we'll go ahead and try at least to, okay, here's our slow part. Get a whole end of the bone at least hollowed out. I don't know, I know, you know, as far as scheduling wise goes, as I alluded to when I was in the midst of coughing, and then I think I realized I forgot the ender chest and kind of forgot to finish that part. We get a lot of fire smoke. I don't think there's anything too massive, or, you know, we haven't reached the point of last summer where tens of thousands of acres are burning or anything like that. Hopefully we don't progress, although it's, you know, it's kind of getting off to an ugly start. Last year, as I recall, and many others probably do too, here in Colorado, and I know Los Angeles did this quite a bit, and others, you know, it just kind of varies on the location, but it was kind of cool here. I really got a kick out of it, and I've kind of outgrown this age. You know, back in the day, I was certainly a young wildin that would go get some illegal fireworks and set them off and all that kind of stuff. Although I've never, you know, I'm kind of one of those, like, yeah, if we're doing that, I'm not opposed, but I'm not let's go out of our way to make that happen. To me, fireworks have always kind of been one of those deals. Like, I think I've talked about when I was doing my trip and talking about thinking of going to the Badlands. When I was a kid, on ski trips coming out from the Midwest to the mountains of Colorado or Montana or any of those, we would very often go the northern route, Highway 94, and go through Wall, South Dakota, which is it's one of those just unique. It's probably not even that unique, really. I mean, I bet a lot of people in out-of-the-way places do similar stuff, but, you know, it's basically nothing, right? It's a tourist trap on an otherwise unremarkable highway, and their biggest claim to fame, really, is just a bunch of billboards along Highway 94 out in the middle of nowhere. There's actually nothing to compete for your attention while you're driving, and it kind of becomes this, like, hey, what are these billboards? And they play into it, right? Like, every mile or so there will be another billboard, like, why did the chicken cross the road? And then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait. Give up? Wait to get to Wall Drug, right? And then, like, you know, there's fresh coffee, Wall Drug, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then you get there, and it's kind of like this just knick-knacky, kitschy kind of place. And I haven't been there in years. I don't know if it still is the same. I would imagine it's pretty identical to how it had been. And as a kid, like, you go in there and they got candy and all that kind of stuff. So when you're on a school bus full of your friends and all that, you're just, you know, got your pockets full of money that you're taking on this thing. It's a blast, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'm getting that and that and that. No mom and dad to tell me no, and you kind of go wild. And, you know, I'm sure they love that, but, you know, families from everywhere, everybody kind of stops, and, you know, it's just a novelty, and it's pretty cool. I have fond memories But what I mainly have fond memories of is being just that little bit older when it was like, you know, and anytime you're on one of those like bus trips, it's kind of the, all right, the bus is getting in here, you have 2 hours. Make sure that you get some food. You know, this is a planned stop. You're going to eat at, you know, there's a McDonald's there. You can go to the Hardee's or whatever other fast food options are out there. Feel free, have at it. Just be back here. We're leaving at 2 or 3 or whatever, you know, whatever the times are. I don't know. So then you're kind of set to go free. And for those of us who had been there a few times and kind of, you know, grown up, you know, once a year or something you go by, you knew South Dakota did not have restrictions on fireworks. Some states in the Midwest do, others do not. I recall Wisconsin also sold fireworks. But as a kid, I thought South Dakota and illegal fireworks was the best thing ever. So as we're going on these trips, we'd go to this fireworks warehouse or something it was called on, you know, just down the road. And it was like a little hike from where the bus pulled in, because, you know, you were supposed to go to the fast food restaurant and you were supposed to go to the touristy shop, but, you know, we didn't want knickknacks and all that kind of stuff. We wanted things that went boom. And so yeah, we'd save money or like gather it up from other kids that weren't going on the trip and be like, all right, what do you want? You know, we kind of became these brokers of in a more movie arms dealer sense. It would be like brokers of death, right? We're gonna sell you the weapons. But yeah, it was just kids wanted bottle rockets and cherry bombs and Roman candles and all that kind of stuff. So we were limited on our space because I don't know if we got like caught and in trouble for it, or if the leaders kind of knew and were like, yeah, you can go, but look, these don't come out of your bags. We don't, you know, and I know that was the ultimate answer, was, you know, whether we were in trouble for having done it or what. They were like, we're not, you guys aren't that young. We're not going to be like, we're taking these from you. But you're not using them on this trip. So do not take them out of your bags. And so we kind of knew, you know, you couldn't get like the box of mortars. Not that we had that much money anyway. We were little kids. Or young, you know, like junior high, high school age kids. So we kind of emphasized size, right? Of packing size. But that was where I really became familiar with a gross. 12 times 12, a dozen dozens is a gross. And a gross of bottle rockets was something pretty reasonable, right? You could get 140, and it was, I don't know if it was packs or what, but it was this brick of bottle rockets that you could get for some ridiculously cheap price in our eyes, right? And then you could take them back and treat them to friends and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, man, I want a pack of bottle rockets. And you're like, all right, well, $3, whatever, you know, and you'd paid like 20 for 144 of these things. So you could live pretty good for a long time with becoming the illicit fireworks dealer. Shh, I never did any of this. The other thing you could do is like trade them for all the other articles of boyhood, clandestine fun. But yeah, I remember lots of fun when bottle rockets were pretty much disposable. You know, it was like, you want to see what happens when you tie a whole package of bottle rockets together and light them all at once? Let's do it. Why not? So we had lots and lots and lots of fun. And nothing, you know, and no real harm came of it. But of course, in the Midwest, I didn't live in the midst of fire danger either. And I have a deep, deep respect for wildfire. I know how destructive it can be, you know, how awful the effects can be on a family, you know, homes, and not to mention that people and wildlife and all that can actually die. Let's not forget that. But the property damage alone is just mind-boggling. So don't take this as consent or, you know, hey, yeah, well, I heard a YouTube streamer say, yeah, you should just go get fireworks and launch them off. No, don't do that. It's very potentially bad, but I do think, you know, there's some fun to be had in very respectful and appropriate firework use. And you just got to be so extra cautious and prepared before doing it. What, you know, like Minecraft, what could go wrong and how am I going to deal with it if it does? Because if you don't stop to think about that until after you've already lit the fuse, it's too late, right? That's when a little, oh, look at it, it hit that bush, goes from, okay, take this already filled bucket of water and go run over and put it out, to that bush is now catching that tree on fire. And even though you're in a residential neighborhood and, you know, you wouldn't think of wildfire as a problem, you've got something out of control that's now threatening structures and people and all the rest of it. So, yeah, again, I didn't mean to get off on that, but last 4th of July, it was amazing out here. I stood out in my parking lot with some of my neighbors and shared the bug spray and, you know, a couple of adult beverages around while we stood and watched, and it was like the whole city was just on a non-stop public firework display, but it was, every firework display had been canceled due to the pandemic, and it was purely private people who had gone and gotten their own fireworks, and all were shooting off at the exact same time. And sometimes that can be pretty annoying. Around here, you know, it's kind of a menace. There's widespread, you know, 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., Friday, Saturday nights, fireworks going off. It doesn't bother me too much. I sleep pretty well anyway, and I don't have to get up early to go to work, so I can kind of laugh it off even if I get woken up. Some people, it's like, man, please just give it a break. I got to get up in a few hours, and the kids are now awake, or the dogs, or anything else. But anyway, so we have a lot of people that go up to Wyoming or wherever they go to and get a lot of fireworks. And last year it was incredible, but it was noteworthy because we'd had a wet late spring, and it was relatively low risk. There weren't a lot of fire bans or anything to really make officials more concerned than they would at any other time with, you know, fireworks going off and, you know, people potentially losing fingers or eye damage or that kind of stuff, burns, just in general. So it was a really cool and relatively safe deal, and I don't think maybe like one structure fire came out of the whole deal. So it ended up being like just perfect in the middle of the pandemic. So everybody got such a lift out of it. It was harmless. And then almost like flipping a switch, the summer went hot and dry, and we ended up with the 2020, you know, one of the top fire destructive years in history in Colorado. And we lived just in a cloud of smoke for weeks in the late summer. And that seems to be starting earlier this year, and that's not fun. And I know that just saying that often elicits a little bit of a Chicken Little type reaction. Oh man, you know, it was never like this in the past. It's just so much worse. I don't know that the weather, you know, weather cycles in bigger cycles that we're just barely aware of. You know, I think many folks have become more familiar with the terms La Nina and El Nino and the cycles of the Pacific Ocean and how those currents affect the weather that comes into the western U.S. And here in Colorado, we certainly feel that effect. Most of the United States does, you know, in terms of how many systems of moisture-producing weather will come through a particular area that year. So we got a lot to learn, and I think, you know, it builds up as a pattern that's more noticeable because you have recent memories. So, oh yeah, it's been hot and dry. It's all, you know, this is way hotter and drier than I remember it. But there may have been other multi-year cycles like that in the past. They're just distant and not as current, so you kind of blend together, and those kind of, and that's why, you know, even before the age of internet, way before the age of internet, when, you know, it was kind of printing presses and things like that, farmers' almanacs were so popular because they made that record, and that idea of citizen weather and the importance of noting temperatures and all that, that comes from all of our shared farming heritage. Individual farmers wanted to be able to know, okay, you know, over a 10, 20, 30-year span, what's the likelihood that I'm still going to get frost in April, in May, you know, and those kind of things. When can I safely plant my crops? And then, you know, what's the real likelihood that we're supposed to get rain? Is it just that, you know, the last few years have been really good, or is it they're not? And if you can kind of begin to pick up on a multi-year trend early, so much the better, because, you know, maybe that's when you let your lands lie fallow and just, you know, kind of let junk crops grow and plow them back under. If you can coordinate with those cycles, you can do very well over time. Nowadays, that matters far less because we have irrigation, and, you know, the Great Western aquifers and things like that get refilled at a less seasonal basis, right? And that's a thing I think we all really want to watch or become more aware of as time goes by. Who's really looking at our aquifers, their extent, and sustainability, you know, and what are those numbers? Far more important than the atmospheric weather, because all of the destruction that, you know, increased tornadoes or blizzards or those kind of things can do, and fire certainly is a huge one, all would vanish in comparison to the entire western U.S. lost its consistent water supply. And, you know, the rivers and drainage rights and those kind of things are huge out here in the West. But most agriculture and all that doesn't pump from a river source. They're pumping groundwater, which connects down to the aquifers, and that's, you know, that's why we don't have dust bowls and things like that anymore that you may have heard about in history class, because there's just a consistent ready supply of water down below the surface of the earth, and now technology can let us pull that up. So yeah, that's the one that I worry, you know, what population levels, what lifestyle changes and things like that affect how long that resource will last. Because just like time, water is, you know, we talk about fossil fuels and some of those kind of things as being the most precious commodities. People got along just fine without electricity for a long time, and without cars and all that. And we may not like it, and it may lead to a lot more conflict, and, you know, people may have a real dramatic change in their life expectancy and their perceived quality of life if we lost some of those benefits. But that's nothing compared to, I can't reliably get water for my family to drink, much less water crops or anything else. So yeah, things to keep in mind. Again, you know, alarm bells would be sounding if there was a real concern that was in jeopardy in our lifetimes. You know, some of you guys have a lot longer perceived lifetime left. You know, I'll do well to get another 50 years. Some of you guys may have 80, and that may go up over those 80 years too. So definitely things to be watching for. Anyway, that got kind of glum and deep. We were talking about 4th of July and fireworks, and I hope that those are going. But unfortunately, I know this Friday a bunch of areas are kicking in no campfire burn restrictions. So, you know, just as camping season really gets going, they're shutting it down. And it's actually kind of a good time to go camping if you can abide by the rules. Don't go up there and then go, oh, well, I'm different, I'm special, I can have a campfire because I know all about it. It'll never get out of control. If that's your attitude, stay home. You know, that, look, park rangers and things, they have those jobs because they love camping. I guarantee they've done it more than you have. And when they say this is not the time to have a campfire, there's a reason. They're not just trying to ruin your holiday weekend or your plan. They're trying to protect you from your own stupidity and the environment from just overuse. So if you're thinking I've got a special spot, I won't get caught, that's not not the spirit I would advocate for dealing with fire bans. Bring up a stove so you can cook, and appreciate camping when, one, a lot of people won't go because it's, oh, well, if I can't have a campfire, I don't want to camp. What? That's stupid. No. Bring up a jacket or a wool cap or something like that, because it's going to get cool at night. And stay up late, watch the sun go down, and then appreciate dark skies without the light pollution of a campfire that blinds you all night. Everybody's like, oh, if I go camp, I gotta have a campfire. Your mind will literally explode with gratitude to yourself if you ever go camping and either stay up and put the fire out completely when everybody that's, I don't want to camp without the fire. Let's keep putting fuel on the fire. And there's always, I'm a guy, a lot of my camping friends, we certainly have had lots of women go camping with us, but, there's been a lot of just guys camping trips too. And there's always, the guy that's like, we got to build up the fire, we got to build up the fire, we got to build up the fire. And, we'll go for hours, but inevitably throws on a couple logs and then is like, all right, I'm going to bed. It's like, what? What are you doing? Those logs are going to burn for the next, 4 hours until they really go out. And having camped a lot and being really aware of it, I kind of fall into the I'll stay up and make sure the fire gets put out. And then, of course, this is so typically me, if we brought up a bottle or something like that, I'll nurse it for a while, and I'll watch as the fire goes down to nothing, and the stars just go on full display mode, and I'll stay up way too late and drink more than I should and just be amazed by the night sky, because it's something we as a people have totally lost touch with, and it's sublime. It's sublime in the true sense of a sublimity, and making you feel just completely insignificant, and that can happen real quick. And those are always special moments to me. And sometimes you can do that without the staying up late and all that. If you don't have a campfire, it's easier to cook. Anybody that cooks over campfires will also tell you it's a lot easier to sometimes just set up the propane stove and get your cooking done and clean everything up. Fires, hey, they get it done, but they're not a real efficient fuel source, and they're sort of messy and all the rest of it. So, just saying, things to keep in mind. But yeah, please respect, whatever your local, and I don't know where any of you guys are particularly watching from. I know India and the United States are well represented among my audience. So shout out to all you guys. Yeah, if you're in a risk area, whatever the risk may be, just try to be considerate and think about the possible ramifications. But this is getting very preachy for that kind of talk. And what I was really talking about was the smoke in the air, which we now have back again. And I'm hoping this is not going to be an ongoing thing. We're supposed to have a cool, wet weekend, and that usually will help. Again, the fires, at least the updates that I saw last night, were such that it doesn't appear we have tens of thousands of acres in any fire. The ones that I'd looked at were kind of moving up from the 3,000 to 4,000 acres, maybe into the 6 ranges this morning. And a great resource. Let me see if I can get it for you guys here real quick. I don't know if anybody cares, but I'll share it with you anyway. Maybe if I remember, that's a big if, I will throw it in the comments. Let's see. It's INCIWeb, the Incident Information System, and it's HTTPS INCI web WEB nwcg.gov. I don't know what the NWCG thing is, but it pulls up a cool North American scrollable map. I guess it's just the continental U.S. that's really populated, but then it'll show all the various fires that are being tracked, whether they're prescribed burns or natural lightning started, or arson or anything else, the big wildfires. And so I kind of discovered this last year and have been always interested to pull it up. So I'll try to remember to drop that in the comments for y'all. If anybody's interested, just kind of fun as well, I don't know if it's fun, but as Western wildfire season kicks up, and you may notice particularly vivid sunsets or sunrises, or just that cough that I had today, which again may have been pretzel related more than smoke, but I like to blame the smoke when it's out there, because you do not so much yet, but when it really gets thick, you totally notice it, and it just, it's like a super hazy day, but it's kind of got that smell, and sometimes you'll even get like cinders that fall a little bit like snow. Not super bad, nothing to cover everything. You guys hear that? That's a fire bomber going over, I think, or just a really big truck. But when they take off fully laden over my place, man, they've got full throttles going, and they're usually like quad props, again, like old bombers or old passenger planes, and they when they're fully loaded up with the the red fire retarding spray that they dump over unburned trees. Again, for people who aren't familiar, it's kind of interesting the way that they fight those fires. They don't dump anything on the flames themselves. A lot of times, they're like, oh yeah, there's a helicopter carrying a big bucket of water, and very, very, very rarely are they going to put anything into actual fire. It will evaporate so quickly that it really doesn't do much good. Instead, they'll try to saturate choke points for the fire and get those to the point where they will not easily catch, and the fire then can't advance, because especially in mountainous terrain, which both California and Colorado have gotten the most visibility, but Washington, Oregon, Utah, Wyoming, all of these western states have, again, share the Rocky Mountains or the Cascades, or any of the other western mountain ranges, and all the various buttes and hills and foothills and stuff in between. And when those are forested, the flames are going to run uphill. Fire heat rises, and it will actually create weather that reinforces that, where the superheated smoke and air will race uphill and create wind that's going up, and generate little micro tornadoes and things on the edges of the fires that are burning. So savagely destructive, but also beautiful when you see some of the images that come out. Just again, like a night sky, they kind of make you realize just how small we are and insignificant when things really get going. So yeah, I've got noise coming. And speaking of noise, the exciting update, I don't think I've shared with you, both lawns and trash have been dealt with around here earlier today. So I got most of that stuff out of the way. We don't have to worry about those interruptions too much in the next couple of days. Pick's still doing fairly well here. So you guys can kind of get an idea of the footprint, what we're trying to do here. We're going to want to fill this floor, and we'll also do the walls. We may leave the blackstone stuff. Again, it's a box in the the top of the Nether. It doesn't have to be perfect, and ghasts aren't super destructive. They're not going to shoot as quick as the Wither. Obviously, with their fireballs, if it's the Nether rack, they'll carve some big holes, but otherwise they... Just making room for the wall padding there eventually. We can go a little quicker. Oh. Again, this is what always, you know, it's no different than it would be to carve tunnels for diamond mining, but it always makes me feel like I'm going to have a neck ache for looking up all the time. Like, you're not looking up, though. It's just psychosomatic. Oh. Pigmen. Oh. I don't know, maybe we just do a bunch of the cuts and then... Good thing we got that extra row of back storage behind the terracotta set that I talked about. Like, oh yeah, this can just be our overflow. We're going to have lots of variety blocks. I don't know if this is the best system or not, but... Oh. It certainly isn't when I miss. And it certainly takes a moment to get it really going. And we'll kind of do a piecemeal cleanup. Oh. This is faster, though. Oh, you lava slime, you. Now, we've heard them a bunch. Now, I was going to say, we've heard them plenty without actually seeing them, but he is in... do for our pockets. Pretty well. Can we draw these guys away? Come this way, guys. I don't know of anything that consistently fights lava slime, which would be kind of nice if there's like an ally mob we could bring along and set up here. You know, wolves and or dogs and cats and things might help a little bit, but be fairly limited. Let's go ahead and take a little snack, and let's look at the time, because I have a feeling we've been going 109. All right, well, it's bad, but not too terribly bad. So let's take a quick break here. You guys know the drill. I'm going to get up, stretch my legs, give my eyes and brain a chance to blink, go peek outside. It's getting on to evening here, and see what, if anything's going on in the sky. Hope you guys do the same. Give yourselves a few minutes. You've earned them. You guys are awesome. While you're doing that, think about hitting like. Do drop in the comments any thoughts or feedback. Have you guys done Uneasy Alliance? And if so, what are your tactics for the ghasts and how you bring them back? We'll see if they line up. As we do this excavating first, and then kind of go back, resupply, come back out, get this side set up, I think, ready to go. And then once we've got it going, we'll turn our focus to the other side and kind of be working on that as we see if we can get the accomplishment knocked out in between. So all coming, all soon. I think I'm going to do at least one more this evening. It's too hot to do anything. I decided with some of my friends, so tomorrow night I'll be more active in the afternoon, so I'll have a shorter day then, but try to get a few more going right now, see how far we can get on this project. So thanks again for dropping by. Take care of yourselves and others. Stay awesome out there, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.